Hi, everybody. Jeff here from Daily Dose of Jeff. Welcome to podcast number 3. I got a special guest here, my son, Jaden. And wow, did he just completely blow my mind today on the Luigi Mangione case. So I'm recording this now. We already talked earlier. Let's roll the tape. And at first, when I interviewed Jaden and we talked about the Luigi Mangione case, at the time, I was completely 100% of the mindset that he's guilty and he should spend the rest of his life behind bars. No question, no doubt, cold-blooded killer in the middle of the daytime. But my son Jaden brought up a very interesting topic and a different viewpoint, which completely has me, I am torn right now on what to do with this case. Why? Absolutely incredible what my son has revealed. I'm going to give you the gist of it. The gist of it is morals. The moral aspect behind this case is huge. You're going to think, oh, I don't care. This is what I thought. I don't care about morals. It's not going to change the outcome. He shot him cold dead. He's got to spend his life behind bars. No, wait till you hear this, folks. I know this is how I was thinking. All right, let's roll the tape. But your main point is if somebody indirectly, like Putin, Brian Thompson, if they indirectly were responsible for deaths, then you think it's justified them getting shot themselves?
Me personally, I think it is justified if you are indirectly responsible for somebody's death, but it was a decision that largely was put upon you, then yes, I think you should be responsible for that person's death.
Okay, we stopped the tape. Okay, so that got me thinking, whoa, hold on. He's comparing Brian Thompson to Vladimir Putin. This is a whole different ballgame, folks, because I think you'll agree with me that if Putin was walking down the street of New York and Mangione killed him, now what? If he killed him the same exact way, ran up behind him, shot him dead, we're all rejoicing and calling this guy a hero. Now we bring morals into the conversation, which really's got my wheels turning. And now, can we compare Brian Thompson to Putin? All right? Putin didn't directly kill anybody. Putin is indirectly responsible for thousands and, hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people dying. I think we all agree on that. I don't think anybody here would shed one tear if Mangione walked right up behind Putin and killed him in the same manner. So if he walks up behind Vladimir Putin and shoots him and then does the same exact act to Brian Thompson, you can't just automatically throw this guy behind bars. You can't, because now there's a moral question here. Now the person has changed, Putin versus Thompson. Now, this got me thinking. All right, so now, obviously, it depending on who you kill will change everything. Can we compare Thompson to Putin? Now, if Mangione's lawyer can go in there and prove that Brian Thompson indirectly is responsible for thousands of people dying, they didn't get the coverage because of his decision, and they end up dying not getting the treatment that they needed. Now he's right close to the same level as Vladimir Putin, who's responsible for tens of thousands of deaths. We don't know, is Brian Thompson responsible for tens of thousands of deaths? If he killed Putin, I don't think he goes to jail. If Vladimir Putin happened to visit the United States, Mangione walked up, killed him, I don't know. I don't think he's going to jail. Now, so this made me think of any other cases out there. Was there a case where somebody killed someone in cold-blooded execution style and got away with it because of the moral value? And absolutely there is. Yes, folks, this changes everything. There is a comparable case. Let's roll the tape. I want to read to you, Jaden, a case, and for everybody out there who are not familiar with this, because this is really going to support what Jaden is saying. All right. Anybody out there remember Gary Plauche? You probably don't know the name. Jeffrey Doucet, French. You don't know the name, but you may remember. The older folks are going to remember this story. And this is really, really comparable what we're talking about here. So we're looking in 1984. Gary Plauche is an American man known for publicly killing Jeffrey Doucet. Doucet, a child molester who kidnapped and raped Plauche's son, Jody. Plauche shot and killed, and hopefully I have the either the image, the whole thing's out there on YouTube. I'll put pictures up, but not of the killing. You're looking at it right now, hopefully, everybody. Plauche shot and killed Doucet as he was being escorted through an airport by law enforcement to face trial for what he's done. The killing occurred March 16th, 1984. Was captured on camera. You're looking at it now. Plauche was given, you ready for this? This is the big one. Plauche was given a 7-year suspended sentence, 5 years probation, 300 hours of community service, 0 prison time. 0. So Jaden is talking about morals. Okay? Jaden is stating that it's justified if it's morally justified. Well, in the eyes of the court, Gary Plauche, cold-blooded killer, did the same thing that Luigi Mangione did. Jaden, is there a difference between what Plauche did brutally without the person seeing it coming? Brian Thompson didn't see it coming. They both took the law into their own hands. Plauche morally justified. Thompson, maybe this is morally justified. In light of this, would you change your verdict as the judge?
Oh, absolutely. Because when you take a look at both of these cases, you are seeing people that the law, in the case of Jeffrey, right, raped, molested children, you hardly ever see these people get extreme sentences. At most, these people get 50 years in prison because these don't carry big prison times, right? And then you see Gary come and he sees this incredible injustice of essentially just giving this child molester who deserves to have the death sentence, right? Essentially a slap on the wrist in his specific case. So he took it into his own hands. He shot him there. He delivered the justice that the people wanted to see.
Jeffrey Doucet didn't kill anybody. Jeffrey Doucet raped a boy, shot in cold-blooded murder, public. Folks, Jaden's got a leg to stand on here. The court looked at this from a moral perspective. So don't tell me that the judge here is just going to ignore morals in this case and come down with a life sentence. No. If you got to go back to this case in 1984, which is extremely comparable, you let this guy off with 0 time behind bars. Could Luigi Mangione be the next Gary Plauche?
I find it very likely if it were to. Now, Jeffrey wasn't a billionaire. He wasn't extremely politically powerful, right? He was just a regular guy.
He was a rapist.
He was.
Brian Thompson may be responsible for thousands of deaths indirectly, not intentionally, but indirectly. Is this comparable to Jeffrey Doucet outcome? Should he get the same outcome?
I definitely think it is comparable when you think about it, because this guy Jeffrey Doucet had one case of molestation versus this guy having thousands of cases of frauding these people out and stealing their money and indirectly leading to their bankruptcies and their deaths. And you think about it there, and again, it comes to what the judge takes as morals. Because if the judge was on the side of the people, and they looked at it from the perspective of a working class American, seeing this justice be brought that people have been asking for decades with these companies, then you say, yeah, I think I'm going to let this guy off light. But remember, we're in a very different time and a very different instance where Jeffrey wasn't a billionaire. This wasn't like a nationwide thing that people were going crazy over. This was a local case with, local police and a local judge. They didn't have, now the judge has to choose between, does he take the side of the people, of the working class America, or does he take the side of the billionaires? And that's
Jada, there's lots of families with deceased because of the policies from United Healthcare. They couldn't get the coverage they needed, and and they're mourning the death of someone, which ultimately and directly goes back to Brian Thompson. Okay, now Gary Plauche, what he did, judge now really has a huge. If you're the defense attorney for Mangione, are you bringing this case up?
I don't think I'm bringing this case up in specific. I mean, I could. It could be very well used, but it's likely more that they're going to look directly at what he did because, right, Brian Thompson, he wasn't legally being found guilty for all of these crimes. Meanwhile, the other guy Jeffrey Dosset was being found legally guilty of all these crimes. So a judge can very easily say, hey, that guy was legally guilty. Brian Thompson was not legally guilty. It's not fair for Luigi to be the judge, the juror and the executioner in this case. He can't take the law that far into his own hands. And even like what we were seeing with the Marine recently choking a man,
Daniel Penny,
a man, right? Which, same thing, indirectly led to that man's death, but they let him get off free, right? And the man that he choked wasn't being accused of anything. He wasn't legally, under arrest for anything. He was shouting threats and stuff, but he didn't actually do anything directly to harm these people, and he ended up being killed indirectly by anyway. So
okay, but I don't feel that this is apples to apples with the Penny case. We had a guy, there are laws, Good Samaritan laws out there. Jordan Neely was publicly threatening everyone's life verbally. I think there's laws, and that's why he got off free. Different case. So I don't want to bring the Penny case into this, but I do want to stick to the Gary Plauche case because to me, very, very similar case here. Plauche, you see him on the telephone, turns around. He did the same exact execution style. So this comes down to morals. And obviously a judge letting him off. Luigi Mangione, you may get off. Maybe. Because if I'm the lawyer, if I'm the defense attorney, I am absolutely comparing the two cases and saying, if you're going to let Gary Plauche walk with 0 jail time, why is my client not getting that same treatment in the same exact execution style? Now, does the judge compare morals to morals? Oh, well, Plauche had more justification morally. Does the judge allowed to do that? Is he allowed to look at a morals versus morals and make a determination, a sentence based off of morals? Is that what this justice system is coming down to? I can't see how you can't compare these cases if you're the lawyer and this is open shut. Plauche walks, my client walks. Do you agree this may happen?
It could happen. It could not happen. It really depends because in Gary Plauche's case, he killed a man that was legally found to be guilty of the crimes that he was accused for. And
all right, but rape of a boy is not compared to murdering thousands of people or indirectly responsible for murdering thousands of people, which Brian Thompson, I could agree. There are deaths out there, I'm sure. Now, I don't know. I haven't looked this up, but I'm sure that because of the policies that Thompson is in favor of, did indirectly kill thousands of people. which he could have changed those policies and those people would be alive today. Now you're looking at death versus rape, and the guy, who killed a rapist gets to walk, and a guy that killed somebody indirectly responsible for thousands of deaths, he goes to jail. Is this fair?
I mean, again, the main thing is one was guilty under the law, one was not found guilty at the time of his death when he was killed. That is a very...
Jeffrey Dosset didn't even have a trial yet. He was on his way to his trial for rape. What would have been the outcome? 10 years, 5 years? If that went to trial, let's say the judge says, okay, you've raped a boy, I give you 10 years in jail. He didn't even get that far. He didn't even make it to the courthouse. For rape, that little boy's still alive. There are thousands of people out there that are dead because of Brian Thompson's policies. Does Luigi Mangione get to go free, folks? Jaden, I'm going to stop it right here because I think we said everything we have to say. Is there anything else that you want to add to this exact comparison? Because the topic here is Plauche versus Mangione. Is there any additional information that you'd like to say? How would you like to close this out? And give your opinion, what you really think the verdict would be if the defense lawyer brings this case up.
If the defense lawyer brings this case up, I believe that the verdict wouldn't change. I think there is, like I said, the biggest difference here and the most extreme difference is that one was being arrested for crimes, one was being accused of crimes, the other by the law, right, by the Justice Department or whatever. The other, Brian Thompson, was not technically being accused of any crimes. He was not being arrested for any crimes. He had a clean slate, and that's the biggest difference, and that's what I could see the judge saying is the reason for this not to be comparable. I think
let me stop you there. What if Mangione's lawyer brings up a multitude of people that have died because of Thompson's policies during the court case, showing that Brian Thompson is indirectly responsible and lists hundreds and hundreds of deaths?
Then I think that would very much be able to change the jury's mind. And it's what we're seeing the public say, the people that are supporting Luigi and his freedom. It's why so many millions and millions of people are supporting this guy, because Brian Thompson was responsible for all these deaths. And that is absolutely something that I believe is going to be brought up in getting at least his sentence reduced. Because now you're bringing that into the eyes of the public. You're showing the public that the government and that the law is still on their side, even if it's a very powerful person being killed. And that is something that we desperately need in in the modern state of America, with everyone being so divided, and we're on the brink of a working class revolution. It's absolutely so important, and it would be such a good decision if the jury and the judge were to take into account what Brian Thompson did and didn't just treat him like a completely morally clean slate individual, but look into the reality of what happened, what led up to this death, and what Luigi did for the people, and what the people think of what Luigi did for them. And from what we can see, there are millions and millions of supporters heavily outweighing the people that are against Luigi in this case. And that is the most important thing that we're going to see that decides the verdict in this case.
Okay, so thank you, Jaden, for your perspective there. So, folks, I am really torn on this, all right? You got Gary Plauche, who cold-blooded killed someone. Justified or not, he cold-blooded did it without the person looking. You got Luigi Mangione, justified or not, cold-blooded killed somebody. Almost exact same scenario. And, Folks, if you're going to say put Mangione behind bars for his life, how could you do that when you let Plauche walk, who did the same exact thing for a different reason? But you're going to have half the people saying it's justified morally, half the people saying it's not. Now, maybe more than half people agree that what Plauche did was justified. Does that change the verdict? Because more people think that it was morally justified? What if you had the same number of people that thought Mangione was justified? I mean, you let Gary Plauche walk, folks. Luigi Mangione may walk. He very well may walk. You know, you can't treat one case different than the other when both killers did the same exact actions. Now, you have another problem. If you let Mangione walk, my goodness, you just sent a message to the public that you can print up a gun and blast somebody for moral reasons. So, because Thompson, here's my opinion, because Thompson was indirectly responsible, and if Mangione's defense lawyer was smart, he absolutely would bring that up as the number one thing. It's got to come down to morals. It's the only cards they can play, but they got other cases where people walked because of morals. So you're Mangione's lawyer. You prove that Thompson is indirectly responsible. You show the names and the people and the reasons, and you show a direct relationship of Thompson's decisions killing people. Mangione gets off, but like I said, you just sent a message to the public that you can blast someone in cold murder because they're indirectly responsible for deaths. Wow. I would not want to be the judge in this case because I don't know what I would do. You know, there's two flip sides of the coin. Half of me would say, you let Gary Plauche walk for somebody that didn't even kill anyone. How could you not let Mangione walk for killing somebody that, if you can prove, who was indirectly responsible for hundreds or thousands of deaths? How do you can't, I mean, that side of me is saying, wow, you got to let this guy walk because Plauche walked. You know, his sentence should be less. If you look at it from that point of view, Mangione's sentence should be less than what Gary Plauche got because Plauche killed somebody who didn't even murder anyone. You know, Mangione, if proven that Thompson's indirectly responsible, you know, then you got to let him have a lesser sentence. Then you got the, you know, what do? You just send a message to every 26-year-old out there or anybody, go print up a gun. You're going to get off scot-free. Let's kill everybody out there that we think is indirectly responsible. We're going to get off. You can't do that either. So the judge has really got his hands full. This is not going to be an open shut case, folks. For you people think that he's getting life behind bars automatically. The more we look at things like the Gary Plauche case, and there may be other cases out there as well. If I'm the defense attorney, I'm going to find every case I can where somebody walked or got no jail time for cold-blooded killing. You know, the Gary Plauche case would be my number one go-to case if I'm that lawyer. I'm bringing that up right away. And wow, that is going to make the judge think this is not open shut. And just think about the message that you can't just let a kid do this and walk. Man, folks, stay tuned. We're going to break down every day. We're going to do a podcast of this entire case because this is huge for America. This is huge. My opinions are changing, and the more I talk about this, my son brought up a very interesting angle that I never even considered. I didn't even consider him. My first initial thought was life behind bars. I don't care about anything else. But you can't, in light of what my son brought up here, morals. I didn't even consider morals a factor. but it is. I didn't even think morals, who cared, irrelevant, but it's a huge factor because Gary Plauche walked scot-free from the same exact execution style murder in front of everyone, in front of a camera, in front of the world. He blasted a man in cold-blooded murder, and the man never saw it, just like Brian Thompson, and he went scot-free with some community time. Folks, not an open shut case. And there is a very good chance that Mangione walks away from this with community time. You can't even put him behind bars if you didn't put Plauche behind bars. You can't even give him 5 years. If that judge who let Plauche walk used morals, then morals is going to get Mangione off. Now, I'm not saying I agree with it, not my opinion, but from a logical standpoint, I mean, I'm torn right now. I do not want to send a message to the kids, to anyone out there. I do not want to send a message that you can just print up a gun and blast somebody. But that may happen. Stay tuned, folks. Every day, we're going to bring you a podcast because this is huge. I'm going to, as I sit here and do my job on my lunch break, whatever, I'm going to, when I see interesting facts come up, I'm going to write them all down, and then we'll do a podcast at the end of the night with more facts. So, I'm going to have 2 podcasts today. This is going to be one. I'm going to do another podcast with all the facts that keep coming out on this case so we can follow along. But, folks, my son Jaden brought up a huge topic here, and we all got to pay attention because Mangione may be walking at the end of this. Thank you for watching Daily Dose of Jeff. Comment down below. I definitely want to hear your opinion.